How's it been so far for you this weekend?
It's been really nice. I have some friends that have moved to Louisville, so I got to see them and see a little bit of the city, and the show's been great. Everybody's so nice and sweet, and met some really nice people, so it's been good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I know you probably travel so much, and you also get to do these conventions. Do you ever have the opportunity to actually like venture out and explore a city?
Not always, because we're doing the show so much, but I came in a day early, so I got to see my friends and kind of see a few things, but I didn't do any sightseeing,
Yeah.
That would be nice if I had time to do that.
Right, I'm sure. And once again, thank you so much for being here this weekend. And I think one of the most incredible things about these conventions is that we get to meet some of our favorite humans like yourself. And I want to know, what is your favorite thing about attending conventions?
I think my favorite thing about the conventions is just meeting everyone face to face and, getting their story of whatever role I played or movie that I did that touched their life in a certain way, made them, I've had a lot of people come up to me and tell me that, when I was a teenager, Buffy was, made me strong, or, I was going through some stuff and it really changed my life. And so hearing stories like that really touched my heart. So I like doing conventions for that reason. I think it's like it's the new day fan, it's like meeting your fans but face to face, and it's great. So
That is so
yeah.
So, okay, so since you mentioned Buffy, and I'm like totally obsessed, and you are such a badass, have you ever like had anyone come dressed up as Buffy, like in full cosplay?
Yeah, I did yesterday. There was a gal who came to do a photo op, and she was dressed in the Buffy prom dress with the black leather jacket, and she had a stake and everything, and her hair was done, and I just thought it was the coolest thing.
What's that like for you to see people like dressing up and emulating your roles?
I think it's great. It puts a smile on my face, and they love doing it, and we all have a good laugh, and I think it's fun. Yeah.
That's so awesome. And another movie that you're in that I'm absolutely obsessed with because I just love superheroes is, of course, The Phantom. And so I want to know, if you could have any superhuman ability, what would you want it to be? You can pick anything. There's no judgments
Don't
here.
put me on the spot here. If I could have a superhuman ability, probably like Genie. Like she'd just like blink and then something would be done. Like that kind of thing.
That would
Time
be-
travel, like things going faster. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have a couple people. Like, if you guys want to ask questions, this is your opportunity to ask whatever you want. Is anything off limits here today?
Well, I'll let you know.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see. So we do have a microphone set up. I know it's a little bit intimidating, but whatever questions you guys may have, now's your chance. All right, the first willing victim. What's your name?
Cody,
Hi, Cody.
hello. You've had such an amazing career spanning so long and just great little roles here and there, and get to work with a lot of amazing people and stuff. But I don't know, maybe just the most recent that I've seen and stuff, but I loved you being in Psych.
Mm-hmm.
And that little run there. Was that a lot of fun to get to work with those people? I mean,
Yes, Psych was amazing. Such a cool group of people. The writers, the producers, the actors, the entire cast, the whole crew was a family, like super close and tight. And I loved going. I only did a couple episodes a year for, I think, 2 or 3 seasons.
yeah.
And every time I went to Vancouver to work with them, I just had the best time. They're, just so much love and happiness and fun times and, funny people, and just had a great time. So I love doing that show. And it's a great show, The writing is amazing, and they just, they have another movie coming out, so
Yeah.
that's great. They're doing well, so.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Out of curiosity, what kind of roles do you like to look for? Like, when you're given a script, what kind of makes you want to be part of that film or TV show?
It kind of hits me when I'm reading it. It's not like I look for a role. It's something that if I'm reading it, if I know it's something that I have the ability to play, I feel comfortable with it, I can get that character in my belly and deliver it. It all kind of comes together when I'm reading it and I can visualize it. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So that's usually when I'll say yes to something, because I have a connection somehow, you know?
What role would you say was the farthest out of your comfort zone?
Farthest out of my comfort zone. Gosh. I can't think of, I'm trying.
You play them all so well. So like for us, like we can't tell.
Yeah.
No, I'm always just kind of curious about that.
Furthest out of my comfort zone. Gosh. I don't know. Maybe when I started playing the mom in stuff and I wasn't a mom yet, then maybe that was a little awkward or different for me because there's certain characteristics and instincts that you have as a mom that I had to portray that. I can't remember what movie it was, but I just remember having a moment like that where I had to play a mom and I wasn't a mom yet. But I can't think of anything, really.
Too far out of your comfort zone?
No.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you were actually filming Buffy, did you realize on set that it was going to become like this cult phenomenon that it became?
I had no idea. None of us had a clue at all. I mean, we knew we had a great script and, it was funny and the cast and, you kind of like set out to, everyone does their best to, try to deliver a good product and, acting in it or producing it and all that stuff. So, it came out in the theaters and it didn't really do very well when it came out in the theaters. I think Death Becomes Her was up against us, I think, that weekend, and they won that week, or they had bigger numbers than us. But who knew that it was going to turn into, everyone wanted to rent it. It was a Friday night thing, and it just sort of, was very popular to the point where, then they made a series, which was awesome, because I thought, how great for young girls to see Buffy. She's a strong girl and a strong character, and for them to see her every week on TV is a great thing. So I was so glad that it did so well.
And, dealing with like vampires and let's say like the paranormal. Do you believe in any of that stuff? Like, do you believe in ghosts and vampires and zombies?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I always find it fascinating, like some guests that I talk to that claim to have had these like crazy paranormal experiences. I've yet to have one, but
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were given the opportunity, like, to be bitten by a vampire and live forever, would you take that opportunity?
I don't know. No, probably not.
Okay. All right, well, we have another question from the audience. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Emily. We met
Hi.
yesterday. You're
Hi
one of my
there.
heroes.
Oh.
And you're such an icon, especially in, a lot of the more iconic cult classics from the late 80s and early 90s. You had cameos in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Pretty in Pink and all of those things, not to mention your lead roles in Buffy and The Phantom. And I just wondered if you had any good stories from working with some of these more iconic actors that were already icons when you were getting started, like Donald Sutherland and Rutger Hauer. So I was just wondering if you had any good stories for us.
Any good stories? Well, gosh. One cool thing was when I was 16 and I did Flowers in the Attic and getting to work with Louise Fletcher was, oh my God, like she's amazing. And so, I was very diligent about hanging out around her and watching her and learning from her, So anytime I worked with a very seasoned actor who had been around a long time or had, a lot of talent or just knew what they were doing, I always tried to stay close to them and watch them and learn from them. working with Donald was amazing. He was absolutely lovely, and I remember when we were shooting Buffy, we shot a lot of nights, and where you basically go into work at 5 o'clock at night and you work till 6 o'clock in the morning. And we had a scene in this alleyway, and they shot his side of it, meaning the camera got all his coverage. And they released him to go home because it was late, and they were going to have me do my dialogue with like a stand-in off camera. And he said, no, 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 no. He left, he went to dinner, and he came back for my coverage at 2 o'clock in the morning when we got to it. I said, what are you doing here? And he says, I have to be here. It makes a difference. It's not going to be the same. Your interaction with a stand-in isn't going to be the same as me being here. So that's why I'm here. And that's a professional. That's a true professional. And I was very touched by that.
That is awesome.
So
Cool.
that's my Donald Sutherland story.
So out of curiosity, growing up, did you always know that you wanted to perform?
Yeah, actually, because I started acting professionally when I was 9. And, you know, when I was a kid, I loved, like at church, I'd get involved in, you know, whatever musicals or plays were going on in school, the community, things like that. I liked acting. And I kept telling my parents, I want to, you know, who are those kids that are on TV? I could do that, you know. And they go, we don't know. That's in Hollywood somewhere. And I said, well, I want to do that. And I had some friends from kindergarten who did commercials, and I got my parents to talk to their parents, you know, just to find out how they were doing it and how I could get involved. And they said they had an agent in LA. I was originally from Orange County, which is about an hour and a half south of LA. And so I just kept bugging my parents to send my picture into this agent and a letter and see if they'll call, you know. And my parents were like, oh my God, Hollywood, what's that? You know, like they just, you know, they're school teachers and they don't, you know, I don't come from a showbiz family, so they didn't know what it was gonna all be about, but I just kept bothering them, and to appease me, they said, fine, we'll take your picture and we'll send a letter, la, la, la. So they did that, and then the agency called and they said, we'd like to meet your daughter. And I was like, yes, okay, where do we go? What are we doing? You know, so I went and met the agency, and they had me read a script of some sides from a movie, and it was The Bad News Bears, the original, because I think, yeah, this was 1979, and I read the dialogue, and they said they wanted to represent me and send me out on my first audition the next day. And so I went on this audition. It was a Dollhouse commercial, and I just walked right in. I was like, I'm so excited to be here. I just got an agent yesterday, blah, blah, blah. It was like going on. And I got hired to do that. And so then I did my second audition, got that one, didn't get the third, but got the fourth. So I was kind of on a roll right at the beginning. And I was just so happy to be acting, and I just loved it, and I just kept doing it. And it's literally like next week, 40 years later. Wow. Yeah, yeah. It's crazy.
So you literally booked the first casting you ever went on.
Yeah. That was great. My parents were like, what? You know, what did we get ourselves into? You know?
Would you have any advice for kids or even adults that maybe want to try their hand in getting into acting?
Well, you know, I work with a lot of kids now because I play the mom in a lot of movies, and I love it. And I love working with young people. And you know, they ask me for advice and things like that. And the one thing I always tell them is, you know, you got to be tough. You don't get a job. Don't let it, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? Like, because there's a lot of rejection, and you just don't take it personally and just keep going through it. And I tell them that, and then also to, as an actor, be jack of all trades, master of none. Learn everything and anything that you can, whether, it's fighting, boxing, sparring, singing, dancing, horseback riding, skiing, water skiing. Like, try to learn a little bit of everything, because you never know where you're going to come into a role where you need to physically know how to do something, and then you'll be able to just do it because you've tried it already. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
So, we have another question. What's your name?
Cherry.
Oh, I love that name.
Thank you. My question is, out of all of your roles, television and movie, which is your favorite and why?
Well, I get that question a lot, and I wish I could tell you I had a favorite. I don't. I like them all for different reasons. An example would be like The Phantom. That was not like a huge box office, film or anything, or, not the most popular, but most people who like the comics love that movie. But it was an adventure, like shot in LA, Thailand, in the middle of the jungle, Australia. I got to do a lot of really cool things. So it was just an adventure filming it. So I, love it for that reason, just had a great time. 8 heads in a duffel bag. So silly. But I never laughed so hard in my life than I did off camera. Like, the cast was so funny just to hang out with, like crying, laughing, all the time. So that was a great experience. Buffy was a great experience, great cast. I had a huge responsibility playing that role, and so I don't really have like a favorite. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I guess, is there a character that you can relate to more personally?
I've never thought about that. I don't know how to answer that one.
Like one that you really didn't have to change who you were to play.
But then that would mean I wasn't working.
Right. Well, I guess an easier role, one that came more naturally.
No, I mean, for me, they're all kind of difficult, because I've always struggled with learning disabilities and dyslexia, and just learning my dialogue and then performing it, and it's like walking, chewing gum, and doing all this at the same time. Very, very, very hard for me. So I think, that's my biggest, just getting my dialogue in my brain is the hardest part, The emotional part I already know, but just getting the words out has always been a struggle.
Thank you.
So since you did just mention that, did you have any tips or tricks as far as learning the dialogue?
Oh yeah, I had all my secrets, I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't tell people, that I can't learn that or I can't do it. But my trick was I would record, even, because we didn't have smartphones, just had a tape recorder, and I'd record my dialogue, and I'd play it back, and then I'd stop it, say my line, play it, the other dialogue goes, because I'd record both parts, yeah. So then I'd stop it, say my line, play it, make sure I got it right, and then the next line comes, and then I'd stop it again, and then say my line out loud, and then check it, make sure I got it right. This back and forth thing when I was by myself, yeah.
That's
Sort
so
of a long
incredible.
process, or listen to it in the car.
But that's such dedication too. No, that's so awesome.
You have to do what you gotta do.
Absolutely. So before we wrap this up,
Yes.
Since we are here at a convention, and obviously there's so many people here this weekend to meet you, I'm wondering, what are you a fan of?
What am I a fan of?
Yeah, if you were to go to to any convention to meet somebody, who would you like to meet?
I've never thought about that. I don't know. Gosh. I don't know. I mean, I like sports.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I like hockey. I like football. I like golf. I like all that kind of stuff.
Do you have like a team that you follow? Like,
Yeah, I follow the Steelers.
Oh.
And and then hockey, I don't have a team. I just like the game, so, But I don't know what convention I would go to. I never thought about that.
Steelers convention.
Yeah,
All the
right. I don't
Yinzers
think
from
they-
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I don't know. They're in a bit of trouble right now.
Oh. Okay, well, we'll stay away from that. So before we wrap this up, any final thoughts?
Just thank you for having me. I've had a really good time. GalaxyCon is awesome.